I used to listen to good podcasts when everything was fine, but now I listen to this podcast because I've lost my mind. My gym partner is a podcast. My gym partner is a podcast. Yeah!
Bullshark Porcupine, I don't know what. Doing this podcast is a pain in the...
You know, doing podcasts is so uncool.
Yeah,
Can't we just have a traveling band? That's way cooler.
Maybe we should, stop doing this, get into radio, maybe classic rock radio, play some classic rock radio for them old timers, that's cool. I like Rolling Stones.
Just doing podcasts, it's so
March 2004.
March 2004.
Yeah. Doing podcasts is kind of like March 2004, and I don't like feeling that far back, I want to be ahead of the game. I want people to know who I am.
Yeah.
This beginning bit's going on too long. Hey, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, everybody, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to my gym partners at podcast. Yes, on this show, we watch episodes of My Gym Partners Monthly and review it and think about it and reflect on the deeper meaning.
And cherish the time that we spend with it, and we bond.
And sometimes there's sulking. Oh, the sulking.
Sometimes.
Now, these episodes I gotta say, I'm gonna be honest, and I know this isn't gonna sound encouraging from someone who has to entertain you for the next hour, but I was not feeling these episodes, and not on either side of the spectrum of delighted by or enraged by. I was firmly in the middle.
These episodes were really just, they're episodes.
They had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, and the second episode in particular is, it's a big reason this podcast happened. It's a big reason that, it was birthed in my brain, but, I don't know why after seeing it again.
Look, I'll be honest here. I liked the first episode quite a bit. The second episode, yeah, it's pretty lackluster. There's a couple of gags here and there I like, but it's, overall pretty lackluster, the second episode. But the first episode here, I've been waiting for, and I didn't think it was in season 2. I thought it was in season 3 for some reason, but no, this episode, it's a pretty momentous episode where we get to see Chester Arthur Middle School.
Oh, yeah. I guess, usually I'd be all about it. I'd be all about this new lore. There's, new lore introduced in both these episodes, and I'm just it's just, the way they introduce it is so...
there's not really...
So not cool.
It's not cool. But, you'd think that the stuff that we get introduced to in these 2 episodes would be something to be excited about, because finally we get to see where Adam came from in the first
where
episode.
He was spawned.
And a new wing to the school in the second episode. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but it's just not exciting. They're just here they are.
Have fun, I guess.
I guess I shouldn't expect so much from this show.
The episodes we watched today were The Times They Are Exchanging and The Cool Kids. Or I guess just Cool Kids. There's no the in front of it, but...
Or Buck Dewey's first appearance.
Yeah, what?
No, that's not...
I'm pretty sure Buck Dewey's voice actor.
Well, maybe, but it's not Buck Dewey from Steven Universe. Just the voice.
How do you know that?
Anyway, so let's start with The Times They Are Exchanging. We start with Adam and Jake in the lunch line as normal. Here Adam is still
lamenting like the
Grubby
school lunch.
juice again.
Apparently, he forgot his school lunch again.
He needs-
to bring his home lunch. Like,
oh, Adam. We've been over this time and time again.
Like-
My son.
I mean,
please eat.
His mom makes him the lunch. He said that before, so it's not like there's a good reason for him to be forgetting it. Like, he has to make it himself and he's waking up late. Like, that's to me like a valid reason, because it's just like, oh God, I want to spend more time in bed before I have to go to my animal school. I forgot to eat. But his mom
think
does
it's-
that for him.
maybe he's just like, it's always in a bag, like on the counter, and his mom goes to work, just as when he's like getting ready to go to school, so he has to like get the lunch bag, but sometimes he forgets to.
As like a gal who's been bringing her own lunch to school for a long time, I'd maybe forgotten my lunch 3 times, maybe 5. Adam's really just getting up there with the times that he's forgetting. It should be a we mentioned this time and time again how much of a priority this should be for him, because the school lunch is like
Wormy Joe.
It's Wormy Joe. He should expect this.
He seems more like resigned to it. He's like, forgot my lunch again, whatever. He's like, I really want some real food, but
used to going hungry.
Well, we all know how that went.
yeah, we all do, unfortunately. They're sitting at the lunch table, and like Adam's like, fantasizing because Windsor says something like, like, why are you looking so down? Why don't you like regale us with tales of your former school, and it'll release like endorphins to like your brain, and you'll be happy.
He just went on.
Yeah, he said some stupid shit like,
because
fucking
feelings aren't real. Actually, it's all chemicals being
It's all-
simulated in your brain.
Love isn't really real if it's, like, it's just chemicals. It doesn't make it valid if it's, like, physical.
It's just a release of endorphins. We're all high on the drug of love.
I hate him. So Adam starts talking about Chester Arthur, and he like will talk about like really mundane stuff like, oh, the water fountains, they were so clean and they didn't have llama spit in it. And Jake says, that's what makes it taste so good. And Adam's like, there's no moss everywhere. And Slips is like, I don't know, man. I love moss. Sounds good to me.
I'm looking up right now who Chester Arthur is. Just for some context. Apparently he was the 21st U.S. president.
Wow.
I feel like I should have known that, but you know what?
They got a bunch of those. Well, they got like 43 of those.
Yeah, there's like 56 fucking of them fucking things.
I'm pretty sure there's like 72 presidents.
I'm pretty sure there's like, hold on, let me look it up. There's like 813 or something presidents.
Hold on, let me check that math. Nah, see, there's actually 2072.
Wow, that's good math. You did that fast.
Anyway. So, Jake...
There's actually 151 counting Mew.
Jake seems unenthused about Adam like regaling his old times in Chester Arthur. He seems angry at this. Just annoyed.
Yeah. He especially seems angry when Adam starts talking about how like, I was so popular. I was the envy of men and the desire of women. He says that. He's legit said
He
that.
says the desire of women, and it gave me the most, like, I don't know, like...
You're a middle schooler. You can't say that.
Yeah, stop saying, like... Don't even refer to people your age as women. I don't... Women and men, it just doesn't... It's uncomfortable. I don't want to hear Adam Lyon say this.
He heard it on TV. That's where he heard it.
Yeah, he was watching something.
Principal Pixie Frog interjects with his usual coincidental announcements as he's announcing, wouldn't you like to go to the Congos to study with the animal Congo classes? Wouldn't you want to see the mysterious Maori tribes of New Zealand? Well, you can't go to either of those places, but this is an opportunity, he's saying, for people to go to the Chester Arthur Middle School on an exchange program down the street. And Adam is very excited, like, even for just a week, to be able to go back to his old school, his old human school.
Not even a week. It's like a day.
Well, they've been saying a week, but they seem to just skip out on the rest of the week, I guess. But Adam's really excited about this, and Jake's just like, it's definitely a setup for disappointment. I gotta check it out myself.
I gotta see this.
I want to see these gold-paved streets that my friend used to ride. I want to know what that place has that I don't.
So they sign up for the thingy. Then they leave on the bus to Chester Arthur. And then as they're leaving, another bus arrives at Charles Darwin. And out steps old Carrie. Poor Carrie.
She came here just to see Adam. Like,
she was like, "Oh, I signed up for the exchange program too. Won't Adam be surprised?" And they're like,
Slips,
I think it's Lupe
Windsor,
or something.
Lupe and Ingrid are there. They saw Adam and Jake off, and they're seeing Carrie here, and it's just like, oh. Lupe's like, oh, jeez.
Bless Carrie's heart for going through the trouble for Adam Lyon.
And
yeah, don't know why she humors him, but
at least she gets to hang out with Lupe and Ingrid. It seems that their chemistry is growing stronger and their friendship is like blossoming.
Yes, and I'm gonna pull back the veil a bit. We don't see Carrie's part in this like throughout the entire episode,
and that's a shame.
it is.
'Cause like, the B plot here is basically about Jake and not about Adam. But it'd be great to see like Carrie reacting to all this like fresh and new, just like the Charles Darwin experience, and being like, "This is what Adam goes through every day. This is insane."
We gotta get him out of here. This is inhumane. What the hell is going on?
I almost drowned today in a school in a hallway. There are things here that wanted to eat me.
How is this legal?
How is any of this okay?
So Jake and Adam arrive at Chester Arthur, and they're walking through, and Adam is just like, "Oh, it's so good to be back." And Jake looks around. He sees all the people, and slowly their faces start to change, and they morph, and suddenly everybody looks like they have Adam's head. Like, they just all look like Adam, but with their various like body differences and stuff.
Jake Spider Monkey cannot tell human faces apart.
No, yeah, he legit says, "All you humans look the same," to which
Adam
responds, "Jake, that's kind of offensive." I want to like you, my gym partner's a monkey. Why do you do this?
You don't
Why do
have
you keep
to put
saying this shit?
You don't have to put those things in there. You didn't have to. Like, you could have left it as all
we want to believe that like this show isn't an allegory for darker things, but then you say shit like that.
You don't
It's like, where are we? What are we supposed to think of this? What are we supposed to think of the political implications here?
Could have left it at all you humans look the same. Wouldn't have thought much of it, really.
Yeah, just Jake being a dumb animal.
Dumb monkey. Dumb, like,
Ooh, ah.
dumb EE. But
Any
anyway, let's keep going.
So Jake is just like he's so happy. He's like, "Oh my god. It's a school full of atoms. Like there's just atoms everywhere." He's so like hyped for this. I don't know. He's really into humans for some reason.
He's really
Well,
into
just Adam,
Adam,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good feel the atom. And so he kind of like runs off like
He was
starts-
so into it. He was so shocked. His head exploded.
Oh,
and
it, like-
and he got his brain exposed again, just because that's a great gag.
And
All
like,
throughout this episode, he has his brain exposed under his hat.
and it's worth mentioning that at this point, Jake stops referring to them as humans and he starts calling them atoms.
yeah,
Atoms
he
by
starts, like, saying-
number.
yeah, like Atom 7 and shit like that.
He first thing like latches on to Chad, but with Adam's face, like we're seeing it through Jake's perspective, and he's like, "Oh my god, a monkey! Get this monkey off of me!"
Oh!
And like he keeps when he's like throughout the B plot here, it's just Jake will find a human, latch onto them for a little bit, and then like comment on how different they are from like quote my Adam, and like
How
it's
they're
really
not
weird.
as easy to manipulate.
Yeah, they're like one of them. He like is like way too sociable, so he's like, this guy's like not like my Adam. He's way too sociable. Like he's way too comfortable in his own skin. I don't like it.
I need an Adam who's malleable, who's putty in my skinny fingers.
So Jake, sorry. So Adam tries to like, I guess, connect with some humans again. He's like, I'm gonna hang out with my boyos, and he's like, and he looks around, he like sees some nerds, sees some jocks, and then he lands on Chad for some reason.
Adam needs to stop it. He needs to stop trying to converse with this 40-year-old boy.
For some reason, he, despite everything, he still thinks that Chad is like a friend, like an old friend or something.
I have no idea why. Like he obviously knows that Chad's a jerk and like doesn't enjoy hanging out with him most of the time, but he's like also obsessed with impressing him. I don't know. It's weird. Chad is a weird character. I don't understand him.
It seems like kind of with depending on how the show's like, plot is moving, that sort of decides Adam's outlook on who Chad is as a person to him. It's kind of like, oh, in this episode we need Adam to want to be like more human. He wants to impress Chad, but in this episode it's like, oh no, Chad's actually like a bad guy in Adam's eyes. Adam doesn't like him, and I find it very confusing.
It's pretty confusing. Like one would think Chad would act as the Flash Thompson to Adam's Peter Parker, but he acts like a very on and off both Harry Osborn and Flash Thompson. Well, pretty much just you get the analogy.
It's also Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love how to describe the character trope you have to use Spider-Man characters.
Yeah, I didn't quite get it, but I'm glad that you said it.
This is who I am.
What were you saying, Gert?
I was saying, like, it's kind of strange as, like, like a antagonistic character that we find in Chad that we haven't seen him, like, be embarrassed or, like, outwitted by Adam yet. He's very, like, I guess, the same all the time. Like, Adam hasn't done anything to him to make him be like, I'm sorry! Or, like, make him embarrassed, make him, like, he never made him look like he peed himself to get back at him or something.
Nah, he's just a tool. in both senses of the terms.
He's
He's a
just
tool
That's true.
to be used for Adam's misery, just to further his misery.
and a tool for the writers. Am I right?
Yeah. And further his misery, he does. Well, not Chad, but just this school, as we see Adam in a new classroom, historical geometry, apparently.
Which isn't a thing, right?
No, I think it could be, but I don't think it is. But we have a humanized Mr. Hornbill.
It's...
I don't like this guy, and I don't want to talk about him. There's a guy, a human man, who looks rhino-shaped. He's ugly as sin. I hate him.
His nose
I hate
is
him
as
so
big
much.
as Adam Lyon's entire body. And
He looks like a
imagining-
racist. And also my my 10th grade trigonometry teacher, which
You know what he
also
looks
looked
like?
like a racist.
Looks like a Ben Carson
He looks like those teachers that are like coaches, but they also have to teach like a math class, so that I don't know why, just so they can stick around. But he doesn't really know what he's teaching. He just like makes them do book work. That's what he is.
Why was that a thing in high school? Was it just
I don't know.
because that was like everywhere? It was just like
Yeah,
well,
I had a history teacher, an AP history teacher, who she was like the volleyball coach, and she was nice, and she was, she knew as much about history as, like a normal teacher would. She wasn't dumb or anything, but she was like obviously not specialized in history, so it made taking the AP class very difficult, and most of the time we just did a lot of book work.
Oh yeah, for my history class at high school, we had like we started out with this guy who was, pretty like, he was a history teacher, but they needed a replacement. So they just got some guy's dad who was like a sub teacher, and like he just didn't know anything, and he was like kind of really like super just you could tell he was like a Republican, and he was just like tried to get other people to be like, hey, how you feel about this?
God.
And
That's
it was-
definitely what this fake Mr. Hornbill's like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Adam tries to eat his book, to which, of course, everyone's like, what the fuck? Because he realizes how boring his classes used to be, because nowadays all he does is eat paper and, like, run around. And in this class, he has to actually learn stuff, and he's like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah, Adam really doesn't have it too bad. I mean, the classes that he take, pretty easy, honestly. Like, I mean, probably, he's always running around in the halls doing things with Jake, and that feels like a lot of time. That feels like most of his time. So I don't really know, how much worse could it be?
Then he's in the lunchroom, and he's like, the food sucks here too.
He's trying to joke with all the others, like all the other people in the line, just being like, there was a joke at the beginning of the episode that Jake says to Adam, and then Adam's trying to like redo that joke, but in a human context, but it just doesn't fly. Everyone's just unenthused, and then like he's excited to get like the human food. He's like, oh boy, at least we got human food here. And it's just like a sloppy Joe that looks much like the Wormy Joe.
But it's got like mystery bits in it.
Mystery bits?
Yeah, like little
and
white
it's like, oh
chunks.
yeah, I remember. I brought my lunch here too.
Whoopsie. Adam's at the water fountain, then suddenly, I've skipped the scene with Jake, but we already talked about it earlier. And he's like, oh, these water fountains, so clean, pure water. And he's like, it's so sterile and boring. And a janitor comes and like as soon as he's done using the water fountain, like starts like spraying the faucet.
He's
and,
like,
wiping it.
Can you fucking stop? Does everything have to be clean? And then he sprays him in the face, which...
This is so startling, honestly, though. he's been at this animal school for so long. He's just so used to the muck and filth of that school now.
The mire.
That like any like ounce of cleanliness like that he was like asking for before is just too foreign for him now. Like and Chad. No, go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, Chad walks in and he wants to use the water fountain, but then Adam's like, you know what? The llama spit back in my old school, it made it taste better for your information. And then he slobbers all over the water fountain.
He like wraps his tongue around the water fountain. It's just horrifying. It's horrible.
And Chad's like, "What are you doing?" He like throws him into the ceiling. Adam comes back down, and Jake shows up, and he's like, "Ah, there's my Adam." Like, you're this is what I've been missing in my life, because like he's become unsatisfied with the other Adams. He's like, "This is what I want, this pathetic lump of a boy." And Adam says like, he's like, I think Jake's like, "Are you okay?" And Adam's like, "No, the only thing broken is my spirit."
But you're like, he goes on about like Jake's like, wasn't your spirit broken in Charles Darwin? He's like, yeah, but at least having my spirit being broken every day at Charles Darwin was fun. Here it's too sterile. It was too boring.
At least my spirit was broken in a way that like was more creative. At least it felt
a wacky, fun animal hijinks way.
That's so depressing.
It is. I mean, we've known this. Adam does not have fun at school, no matter where he goes. And
I mean, it just goes to show the institutionalized school system is a mess, and a student will probably take being an animal student over being a human student any day.
Despair.
That's the tea.
Sis. Got him.
Jake and Adam head back to Charles Darwin because they're like, "Oh, let's get out of here." And they see Carrie emerge from the school, and her hair is a wreck, and she's covered in mud, and she's just like, that was a day.
Yeah, like, it was fun and all, but I definitely won't do that again for a while. I'm gonna have to lay down.
Like, that was rough. Please, just... I need rest. My bones hurt.
They all have a good chuckle about something. And it pans to a llama student, and he's like, "Oh, that's disgusting, and I should know I'm a llama." Like, I think it's supposed to be some South American accent.
He's saying this in response to like a Fox student like slobbering all over the water fountain.
And that's the end of that episode.
And
yep.
Honestly, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. Just not a lot happens. But hey, we got to see a humanization of a Cyrus rhinoceros.
Here's how I would change this episode. This is the perfect opportunity to have a role swap, right? Where like they go to Adam's school and suddenly Jake is like the like, outcast freak weirdo, and he gets into trouble for like they're in class together, and he starts like chewing on the notebook or something, and the teacher yells at Jake, and Jake is confused. He's like, "Why am I getting in trouble for this? This is so weird." And Adam's like, "Dumb Jake, dumb idiot."
You see,
meanwhile, like, Adam is dealing with the boringness of it, but he's still on top somewhat.
He's thriving.
Yeah, he's maybe not, the most popular kid at all by any means, but at least he knows how to thrive in this school, whereas Jake is just suffering, much like Adam, being out of his element. I think there is an episode like that where Jake becomes out of his element. It's another like swapping episode like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get going to the next episode.
Alright, so the next episode that we're doing is The Cool Kids. And this episode starts off interesting because we get a new look at a different zone of Charles Darwin. The cool zone. It's cold
the Arctic
there.
zone.
And we just have, like Adam and Jake, they're walking through the halls, having some banter, and as they go into the zone, there's actually little coats for people to pick up. There's a little bitty red one for Jake that's perfect for him, and just a normal and just an average one for Adam, I guess.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that little detail that this is like an actual part of the school, and for the animal students that cannot survive in this environment, we got a bit of some costumes for them, some coats. Although, why are some of the animal students that would not survive in this environment given some of these classes?
Well,
Torture.
and also, it's probably the same sort of, like, thing that we were talking about, how, like, coaches have to teach math classes. Mr. Hornbill has to teach, freezing in the winter class.
They're walking by. Jake is like combing through Adam's hair. He's like
Knits
looking
out.
for bugs.
He's looking for just all sorts of things. Primarily the Arctic tick, or Arctic as he calls it. Funny little pun. It's a little disgusting bug with a coat.
I like how Jake goes like, "I won't eat these guys. They give me gas."
They give me
GAS.
And
gives Adam a
Luke-
full body search.
yeah, oh god. Lupe like comes by. She's like, "Out of the way!" And she just like what's it? Snow skis? What are they called?
A snowmobile.
Yeah, snowmobile.
Yes, that.
We know that because we watched Dogman last night.
Oh my god, you watched Dogman last night?
Yeah.
Why? Why did you watch Dogman? Why did you subject Renee to Dogman?
For
It was good. I liked it.
For anyone who's listening who doesn't know what Dogman is, which, hey everybody, it's a very good movie about a man who has to deal with a dog man.
That's pretty much it. Nothing happens in the movie, but it's great.
It's a good movie.
I recommend it.
Definitely a good movie, but anyway, yeah, Lupe has a jet ski or snow ski or whatever, and she just...
Yeah, here there's like a couple of gags where like Lupe like jet skis and puts Adam and Jake in the snow. Ingrid walks by, hitting her head on every single icicle, and then the icicles pierce and stab Adam and Jake.
Slips is an ice cube.
He's like, hey
What's his point?
dudes, hey dudes. They're like, whoa, Slips, what the fuck are you? What's with that look? He's like, I'm dying, man.
I'm cold-blooded, man. I'm totally dying.
Where are they making me go here?
Windsor's pulling him along.
Jake just like says stay cool, and for some reason Adam is completely frozen, like looking at him. Like he's not like ice frozen, he's just like looking at Jake as Jake keeps repeating stay cool, stay cool, stay cool, and then he crawls into his hood and says stay cool, and he's like, I get it.
One of those patented jokes that go on for a very long time. And my gym partner's a monkey. One thing
My gym partner's among.
One thing I noticed about when Jake is underneath Adam's hood, you know how like he's under it and you could see his like silhouette underneath it. They drew his butt. They gave his butt an outline. Isn't that funny?
That's
That is
so
really
funny. Adam remarks that because Jake is, in his coat and he finds like a tape recorder and he's like, "What's this for?" And Adam's like, "Well, I can't really like my fingers get too cold. I can't take notes while I'm in the Arctic wing, so I brought like a tape recorder, my dad's tape recorder, so I can, just record the notes." And
he starts shaking so hard that he can't hold a pencil.
it's not good.
Fucked up.
And Jake steals it, of course, and like presses a button on it, and some music starts playing. And he's like, "Ooh, this is like, what is this? This is incredible!" And Adam's like, "Well, it's not coming from the tape recorder. There's no tapes and like, there's nothing in it." And oh, it's some exclusive Truffles music from who?
From
the
cool kids.
Which were treated to the cool kids from Steven Universe, correct? I can't keep doing this bit, it's not funny. But it's a polar bear, 3 penguins, just a little fox, and they all are just so cool.
I like how it's only really the polar bear that's like a newer character. The 3 penguins are background characters we see a lot, and then the Arctic fox is just a recolor of a regular fox student with like a sweater.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the penguins don't say much, if nothing at all, this episode. They're just like a set piece.
They only
because I recognize them.
They only laugh, right? Like that's
Yeah.
all they do is just they react to when the polar bear says something.
It's really just the polar bear and the Arctic fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Arctic fox is kind of like the he's like in the cool group, but he's like the least cool one in there who's like constantly teetering in and out of it. Like
he's just a
really bully
stooge
him.
that's like, yeah, boss, yeah.
Yeah.
That was really funny, boss.
Oh, you really got him good, boss.
But Jake is amazed to like be able to be in the presence of these cool kids, quote unquote. We talk a lot about how Jake has influence, but here it doesn't seem like he has all that much. He's not exactly a cool, popular kid. He's just a prankster, it seems.
He's the class clown.
He gets all of his attention through funny antics. Nothing is from people necessarily liking him. I mean, we've seen in past episodes the way that Lupe and just the cheerleaders perceive him. They think he's ugly. It's so sad.
It's tragic. But the polar bear and the cool kids, they're like they don't like want to like acknowledge Jake, but then they're like itching because they got Arctics, and little Arctic fox like, hey, why don't we just get this guy to pick all our ticks off? He's like, hey,
get on my head.
Why don't you hang with us and get on my head? And Jake just immediately leaves Adam, and Adam's just kind of jealous.
He's like, well, I thought you were my best like friend, and then he's like, wait, what am I saying? Like he seems.
I thought you were my personal nitpicker.
Ugh.
Wait, what am I saying?
Disgusting. Why did I say that? Hey, isn't it funny how my gym partner's a monkey manages to make little, like, one-off, like, pun gags literally, like, an integral part of the plot's episode, or of, like, the episode's plot?
I don't know why they keep doing it.
They've done that multiple times, this time with the Arctics, and, like, what's... I can't quite recall anything else, but I know it's there.
Let me think. Now you got me thinking.
Armadillo. That's one.
Armadillo. I will never forget that for my entire life. I hate Armadillo. I still hate it. If I ever see that episode again. Armadillo. What the hell does that mean?
Armadillo. What the fuck?
Adam is in an ice fishing class. He falls through he like gets pulled under the water, and it turns out he accidentally hooked a I don't know what.
Yeah, and I don't know what is down there, and it wants to get him.
No, Adam acknowledges that it's a narwhal, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny.
what-
Just
that's
like in the intro of this show, every time he calls it an I don't know what,
Renee,
but now he knows. He's
Renee-
gotten
Yeah,
attacked
it's
by
like
it enough, I
monstrous.
guess,
Like
to
he
know.
falls down there and it bares its teeth and starts like going after him, and he like is like like clawing up to get on top of the ice,
please,
and he's like,
please get me out of this cold water.
Jake!
Just like I don't want to die. I don't want to get eaten. And Jake's
he's like, Jake,
"Hey, what's up, Frank?"
Yeah, he's like so mean he won't save Adam, and then Adam gets like pulled under the water with the narwhal.
Yeah,
Because Jake refuses to save his friend.
Jake shouldn't do that, right? I can't tell. Is it good that he let Adam get eaten by an I don't know what?
I mean, on one hand, Adam sucks.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, Adam sucks. But he's also Jake's friend, and you should always help out your friends.
Are they? Yeah, I guess so.
Then there's like a Rudolph parody with like a bunch of reindeer are like making fun of Adam because he's so cold that his nose is like turned red and he's like dying of hypothermia.
They
Like, what a freak.
They float away.
Yeah, they fly away.
They look as if they were picked up, like
Oh,
Yeah,
by
like
their
so-
animation cell.
what
and
was
just,
Lion.
like dragged out.
there's a lion on the loose. That's another pun that makes a reoccurring appearance in an episode.
But that's more of a running gag than
All
an
right.
integral.
Well, I tried.
You see, like, the tick could be a running gag, but it wasn't in this episode. The tick was literally why Jake was doing the things that he was doing.
That's fair.
Isn't that fucked up?
Jake like comes by and disses Adam again because he's got shunned by the reindeers, and Adam is pissed. So he's in class with Slips, Lupe, and Windsor. Slips like is like, "Hey man, can you give me a piece of paper?" And Adam like ninja star throws it at him and like cuts his ice cube.
He almost
It
decapitates
was
him.
cut
Yeah.
Slip's fucking entire body off. And he's just like, whoa, anger management, you alright? Like, anger management issues.
I'm looking at the episode here, and Adam just has a book with the cover. It says Ape Math.
Oh my god.
What does that mean?
That's the math I learned.
Ape Math.
Ape.
This is just an ape math class.
I think this is like a study hall. Like, that must be it, right? There's no teacher or anything, and it's so quiet, so small. It's filled up.
Oh yeah, it is a study hall. It does say study
It's filled
hall.
up with water. Why does this whole day have to like be dedicated to ice and snow? Is that like does this happen every week?
If it does, I feel sorry for Adam. It must be like split up, like like those odd and even days.
Yes,
in
I
school.
did that my freshman year.
God.
Yeah, I've had that for a while. Like maybe like he just every other day he has to go to the Arctic side of the school because that's where all his like classes are that day.
Y'all ever have dreams where like your life is still like segmented as odd and even school days? And like
More often than I think I notice.
I have those dreams all the time where it's just like I go to classes, but it's like I forget to go to those classes. Like it's like I don't know where they are. They're very stressful. Anyway,
Then they're in This is the oddest part of this episode, I think, where they're in something called Blizzard class, and it's just
Blizzard
Mr. Hor-
survival
Mr.
class.
Horville's
Yeah.
there, and he's just like, please, we gotta get out of here!
it's like,
The best way to survive the blizzard is to get the hell out of here!
and like it's weird because like it's all okay. First, let me just break this down. One, there's like no real background. It's just like the visual is like a blistering like blue and white winds, and then like it's that effect is even like over the character model, so like everything is really hazy. And also the entire time it's just like
It's fucking Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Just like the whole thing is just like...
Adam sees a vision of the cool kids.
it's like almost like a mirage.
Adam sees like a scary ice monster Jake like waddling towards him, and like he just has to run away and it chases him. He's in the nightmare
That's
world.
not what happens.
He hears the cool kids like, you know, kind of diss Jake, and Adam tries to here's this thing I don't understand. The reason why I'm bringing up the like setting of the blizzard and why it was like so jarring is because there's no real like concept of space, I guess. I can hear myself, or I could for a second. There's no real concept of space in the room or in the scene, so it's like you see the scene of the cool kids like dissing Jake, like you see it like you would see any other scene, and then like a wind effect like blows them away, and suddenly you're looking at like Adam standing in frame, but it's like a medium shot as opposed to like the wide shot of the cool kids, and Jake is like standing like near him, like he kind of just like appears there, and Adam clearly heard everything the cool kids were saying, and like tells Jake like Jake, you know, you can't trust those cool kids. But Jake is like, what are you talking about? Like, you sound crazy. I'm gonna go hang out with the cool kids. Like he could have heard them too. How did he not hear them also?
So it's like weird that like for a lot of the episode, Jake isn't actually like standing being with the cool kids. He's kind of just next to Adam, but like acting like the cool kids.
He's sometimes on their like head.
He's sometimes on their head, yeah. Maybe this is just emphasizing the fact that he's just being used to pick ticks out of them.
Yeah, so Jake is like, I need to get some proof. And then it's like the cool kid's sitting on top of some like little mountain, and the Arctic fox guy's like, man, that stupid monkey hasn't even figured out we only invited him to pull off the ticks. And then Adam shows up.
Thanks for saying that. Like, thanks for just...
Thanks for being the Lupe of the episode. And
just getting us out of that one.
Adam grabs the tape recorder that he, I guess, left up there, but we're never seen that scene. Like, it's literally like cuts from the Blizzard class to like him getting the tape recorder, and he brings it to Jake, like plays it for him. Jake is very upset. And the cool kids are like, you know, confront him, and he confronts them. And they're just like, what are you talking about, dumb monkey? Just get on our head. And Jake's like, no. The cool kids pull out a dictionary, like, no's not in the cool dictionary. Whatever. You're lame. Bye. And then Jake throws up.
He does something horrifying here, and it was especially just gross for me. Just the idea. He throws the jar of ticks that he'd been saving the cool kids' ticks in. He throws that at them and infects them.
Like, he throws them off and they hit them, like, off screen. And they're like, ah! Like, screaming in agony.
It's just kind of funny that it seems like the Arctic side of, like, Charles Darwin Middle School seems to have more of a pest problem than the rest of the school.
For some reason.
Well, I'm sure the other part of the school has its pest problem, but maybe just our ticks are a lot more bothersome
I guess because they're so resilient, maybe they're just super immune to a lot of like pesticides and like other such things.
Maybe.
Maybe. They leave the Arctic wing and they're like, sweet sunshine. Well, Adam says, sweet sunshine, how I've missed you. And then
Jake's just like, well, gee, thanks, Frank. I miss you too, but I prefer to go by Jake.
yeah, so read that what you will. And Adam gets pissed off because Jake is again forgetting his name like he did earlier in the episode. He's like, my name's Adam. And he's like, well, you look like a Frank. But-bum, bum.
Bum. And
That's that
that
episode.
episode
It-
flew by.
Kind of a haze, kind of a dream.
Kind of like that Blizzard
Espec-
class.
Yeah.
That Blizzard class felt like a dreamy haze.
What did you think of? What did you think, Renee? Because you have a more optimistic take on a lot of these episodes than me and Gert do.
You like this show.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But I do like the first episode a bit more than this one. This one just felt like a filler episode. There weren't even that many. There wasn't even an ass joke in either of these episodes.
Well, you're right.
The
Surprisingly,
only thing close to it was Jake being underneath the hood, and you could see the outline.
showing his little ass
Yeah,
bumps.
the ass bumps
But-
was the only like real butt joke, and that was just more like a butt joke cameo.
But I think the first episode presented like a lot of ideas that were fun. It explored some of those. It didn't explore them far enough. It was a by the numbers plot, just going through what you'd expect. Adam has an unhealthy attachment to the animal school now, and that is shown. But it does stuff with it. I wish we could have seen a humanized Principal Pixie
Oh
Frog.
God.
That would be so funny. Just a very small human.
Just like to scale.
Yeah.
Like just very small.
He's the exact size. Wow, I just realized that these human animal I guess versions of the characters we're used to. Like we got one of Jake kinda. Now we got one of
Mr.
Mr.
Hornbill, Miss Tusk.
Tusk. Who else are they going to show us?
I'm so excited and scared.
There was a shadow behind Miss Chameleon
That's right.
that was human. I still think about that. I still think about it to this day.
What did it all
It-
mean?
It makes me wonder. It makes me shudder at night. And it makes me feel a sense of longing.
Well, those are those two episodes. Why don't we read some comments?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. So we got a lot of comments on our last video. So sorry if we don't get to your comment. We always read them and we love every single one. We just, don't have a lot of airtime, We're going to get kicked off YouTube if we talk for too long.
Yeah, we're gonna get copyrighted by Time Warner.
Yeah.
They they probably
But this
Just
They
know
probably own Twitch.
that we love all your comments equally, and they're all very humorous, unless they're not meant to be humorous, and they're just kind-hearted. In that case, we think they are very warm.
Yes. Now, this was a reply to us on Twitter, actually, from Katie. She says, Gert's animal Sona is morphing more and more into an adorable cat slug. And I'm honestly here for it.
I am
am
as well.
too.
Yeah.
Honestly, our thumbnail artist, Allie, she's been doing good work,
Yeah, have we made a shout out to our thumbnail artist?
Yeah, our thumbnail artist is named Allie. Her art Twitter is @strawberry. We always have links to her in our descriptions. She has commissions open, I think, right now. She's a great artist. Really, really highly recommend. She's a really dear friend of ours, and we love working with her. Her art is so fun, and yeah, she does all our thumbnails, except for like one or two, which Renee did. But
it can't. They don't have that alley charm. They don't.
But please check her out. She's great.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, thank you. So thank you for the comment, Katie.
All right, so Lil Deerling on our YouTube comments writes, just wanted to let you guys know that I really love this podcast, despite never seeing an episode of My Gym Partner's a Monkey in my life. It really makes my day whenever I see a new episode is up. Love you guys a lot. Looking forward to the next one already.
Aw.
Thank you, Lil Deerling.
Yeah, thank you. That's really sweet. I'm so...
It's really intriguing, the idea that people are listening in on this podcast who have never watched My Gym Partner's a Monkey and getting like the sense of it through us.
Do you know what the characters sound like, or are you just solely basing it off our like terrible impressions of the characters?
I'm just...
Speak for yourself. I do a great Principal Pixie Frog.
Like, half the time that I, listen to us talking just throughout the episode, I feel like most of this must be incoherent. Like, none of this makes any sense.
Do you know what Jake's like? Have you seen him? Do you know what... Have you had Jake stare into your soul?
Have you looked into the abyss?
Thank you for listening to us, even if you don't watch the show. I don't recommend it, so...
Thank you so much. This is a comment from Noah Spongy. Would y'all ever make a new podcast talking about a different funny cartoon? I like the start of this one series once this is all done. I know this one isn't ending anytime soon, but I don't like the idea of losing this podcast. Well,
yeah, we mapped it out the other night. And what did we decide was like the estimated finish date of this podcast?
At the very least, if we do an episode every week for it'll go on for about 10 to 11 months.
Years.
At the minimum. No, months. So if you're really concerned about that time, we'll probably pad it out. There'll be some. It's not counting bonus episodes, and that's not counting just some breaks we might take. But
vacations, our lives,
our will to keep pushing forward.
But I don't think we'll go away so soon. Even after My Gym Partner's the podcast is done, we I
like
still
to imagine we all the three of us get into a terrible fight sometime in the middle of this podcast, and like we have to keep it going for like the fans, but we kind of secretly hate each other, and then when the podcast is finally over, we're like, see you, I'm never talking to you again.
Wow, we'll be just like the Beatles.
But no, we've jokingly talked about like other concepts. Like I think we threw around the idea of like fucking like Johnny Test. But there's just some
Squirrel Boy podcast. Squirrel Boy.
No, Squirrel Boy.
I like.
There's just not really a show quite like My Gym Partner's a Monkey. But we'll see. I mean, that's a very long way in the future. We plan on finishing this podcast. So, yeah, but thank you for being an avid listener.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to read this one last comment.
Yeah.
Just because there was it's a long comment, and I feel like here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the comment, but we're not going to answer it. And we'll put it up on the screen too, so that y'all can read it in your own time. I want y'all to answer this comment. What do you think about this? Here it goes. It's from Ryan. Hey y'all, big fan of the podcast. Been there since episode 1. Thank you. I have a question, however, and I'm starting to think that despite the show attempting to show Adam as the sympathetic one, I have found more and more that Adam is quite a devilish monster child, and that Jake is really the true hero of the show. Adam, transphobe rep, heteronormative, absolutely pathetic little man.
I do say,
Jake.
I'm not going to I'm not going to confirm these things as fact, but I have often thought to myself all of those things about Adam.
Jake keeps going despite society being against him, doesn't feel shameful for his appearance, fights against societal norms. Who's the real hero? Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Ryan. We're not going to answer that.
Yeah.
That seems to be the ongoing theme of this podcast, though. That struggle. So we might not even have an answer until the end of the show. We might not even have an answer at the end of the show. That's how good of a struggle this is of political ideas of just concepts at war with each other. So please, have some tasteful discourse in the comments about this.
Tasteful discourse.
It must be tasteful, please.
If it's not tasteful, you're grounded. I just read the title for the next episode.
What are we looking forward to?
So our next episodes next week are gonna be Disregarding Henry and Nice Mustache.
Woo! Yeah, Henry episode. I've been waiting for this one. I knew this was coming.
I've been waiting for this one.
Have you?
Certainly. In a different kind of way.
So I feel like next episode's going to be very emotionally charged. So prepare yourself for that. We'll see y'all next week. Thank you so much for listening to us. Comment on our videos. Reply to us on Twitter. Send us funny pictures of monkeys. I would love to see a funny picture of a monkey when I open my Twitter and just be like, look at that monkey.
Mm-hmm. And
Monkey.
I would love that. Now, I'm Lucy.
Fuck, who cares?
And I'm Renee.